Should we tell the story of what happened to Disco Friday, what it was?
This is the funniest
and
thing.
how it disappeared, and how it, in some ways, kind of emblematic.
It was emblematic
of everything about radio.
So we started doing, when we went to WBT back in 2012, we started doing Disco Friday a couple of days. And it went along.
All that Disco Friday meant was...
we played disco bumpers.
That every time the commercials were over and we were coming back on, and you play 10 or 15 seconds of music, we would play the classic disco songs from the 70s. The ones that everybody recognizes, that have those signature beginnings that people from 5 to 80... no, because they have been...
Sure.
They're just that familiar.
Well, they've been using commercials for a number of years.
Bee Gees.
The film Boogie Nights, I believe, was fairly popular among people who were in
Disco
this sort of...
Inferno.
Right. These are things...
all these songs that everybody knows.
We go along, and then they hire a new program director. And the new program director comes to us at one point, and he goes, what's up with the Disco Friday? Well, we do it because of this, and this.
And by the way, whenever a program director says to the talent, what's up with this... It's code for, what the fuck are you doing? I hate it. Defend what you're doing, jerk faces.
But we
took
it as well, we do it this way, and then he kind of goes, oh, and walks away. So then we have the large, huge, massive, unbelievable, everybody, all the DJs, all the talk show hosts have to get together in the conference room meeting. What is this radio station about? What are we doing? And they go around the room, and he tricks you. He goes, who are we aiming our programming at? Blah, blah, blah. So everybody goes around the room, and I said, well, it's probably somebody who's around a 45-year-old male, and they tend to be educated, they tend to have children, blah, blah, blah. They tend to be entrepreneurs, et cetera, et cetera. So we go all around the room. Everybody has their, and he tells us in those unspecific terms, he says, we are aiming our program at a 42-year-old male.
So you were off by 3 years, so you were, of course, completely wrong.
I was an idiot, and so were 90% of the people in the room.
Right.
I think at the time I was actually a 42-year-old male with a college degree. I think so. I would probably have been, I want those of you who have listened to WBT in the Charlotte area. I want you to pause for a moment and think. Do you think that radio station is aimed at 42-year-old males? Do you think what that station is pumping out now is aimed at 42-year-old males? I don't.
Well, first of all, you can't aim the totality of anything you're doing at a specific person.
But you can try. Do you think they're even trying to aim their programming at a 42-year-old male? What the big thing that he did...
Well, they may be trying in their own heads because they have the NFL games on, which, by the way, everyone over 42 doesn't watch football, and no one under 40. I mean, you can lose your mind playing these games of who is your target audience.
Well, that's all they do, though, because that's all those guys have. They don't really have any talent as far as talking into a microphone or saying anything or projecting any ideas. That's their life. They have to do bullshit like that as to what are we targeting at, and everything has to be targeted. So his great nod to programming everything toward a 42-year-old male was he came in there and all the bumpers for all the talk shows that we were using on a regular basis, the ones that Brad was just talking about, coming out of commercials, they all became 90s rock. They all became Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, crap like that, Blink-182, bands that were very popular between 1992 and 1998. That was his way of aiming the programming at a 42-year-old male.
If I may inject another, guess what age this guy is himself who was making these pronouncements and telling us he's exactly that age.
He's exactly that age.
In other words, stuff that he likes.
And if anybody, I've never heard of anyone say, I like listening to this talk station because the music that they play about 3 times an hour was stuff that I liked back when I was coming up in rock. I really enjoyed that rock. Nobody ever does that.
And again, the centerpiece of the image of WBT still is Limbaugh.
Yes, of course.
And what kind of bumper music?
Oldies.
He's
oldies. All oldies all the time.
Rush is playing the crap that was on the radio when he was a disc jockey.
Right. And no matter...
And that's a lot of disco-era stuff.
And no matter how he tried to get other people or the station to play this stuff, if you think Keith Larson and John Hancock are going to embrace Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Blink-182, no, they're still playing Crosby, Stills, and Nash and the Avett Brothers and stuff like that. So we go all around the room, we have our fun, and he goes, well, I just want everybody to know what we're aimed at, and it kind of makes you wonder why we're doing something like a Disco Friday. So the entire goddamn meeting is basically aimed at beating,
us.
which we could have had behind. If he would have taken us into his office and goes, don't do that anymore, we'd have gone, okay, I see your point. We won't do it. It's not something we're going to hang on to. It was very important for Johnny Big Nuts to get us in a room with about 20 people, have us go around the room. And as he's finishing up, this is
just as an aside.
As he's finishing, it makes you wonder when we're doing stuff like Disco Friday. So,
because that was clearly the one thing that was holding.
And you always think of things that you wish you would have said at the time. I think that's why people buy tickets to movies and they watch TV shows, is because the people in movies and television shows, they always have the right quip at the right time. And that's why, if you had the right quip...
That's why Frank Underwood on
House of Cards.
On House of Cards is the most popular character in all of media.
So as we're finishing up the meeting, I wish I would have gone, have you ever heard of the film Boogie Nights? Pretty popular among 42-year-olds, and it had nothing but disco music in it. People my age can quote lines verbatim from the film Boogie Nights. They're familiar with the music. They know what's up with it. But again,
I wouldn't have even dignified.
Jesus, it's just, how do you
an argument like that?
So
if I was going to really speak out against him, I would have said, why are you saying in front of everyone something that should have been a private matter between us? Are you such a gutless little worm?
Well,
that's what you really want to say. You can't get down into the nuts and bolts in picking out one movie that had.
But you got to kind of play their game on some level.
You and I are arguing over what we should have said that we didn't say. That wouldn't have mattered anyway.
That's right. That's the bottom line. Is that we had a bullseye on our back. Everybody had put the stink eye on us, and it didn't matter what we would have said. But we had to have a meeting full of 20 people to beat the shit out of us in order to make something happen. If they would have just said, don't do it anymore, that would have been perfectly fine.